Hi guys, welcome to this really important video about wall chargers or any kind of charger, especially this new kind of USB charger, something like that, or this one. So the problem is always when they are really convenient, but the problem is that they are not really safe. They come from China, they usually are very cheap, they are not really tested. They just come here, they print anything to the backside, they claim something like a high power, and they list these things on Amazon, and people are buying and trusting, and they plug all kind of stuff in here, and then these things get hot and they catch fire and burn down your house. And it could really ruin your whole life, it could kill you, it could do something whatsoever. So it can be really dangerous. So it is important to know what you expect and to take some safety measures. So here we have two samples. Here they say 30 watts, here they say 40 watts. So usually these things are a little bit easier to test. Here it's a little bit a problem, and of course people are tempting to attach all kind of really heavy consumers, which can really be absolutely dangerous. I had such a case even when in my family we had such a new device, never tested. We just plugged it in, we went on holiday, plugged everything in, power banks, phones, whatsoever, went to sleep, and during the night it started burning and producing smoke, and it was crazy. It definitely could have killed us all. So I want to make sure that it doesn't happen again, or it doesn't happen to you. They have really bold claims for these devices. They say they are protected against overcurrent, overheat, whatsoever, but you really don't know. Since I have experienced that on my own, I would never trust such a device anymore for their bold statements. So what can we do? They put a lot of signs in the back, and you would think, oh, there are so many nice signs, that is probably they have been tested and they are very secure, but they are definitely not. Most of these statements here are just regarding environment protection, and not even these things are probably tested. They just can print this on that, and they can write anything to their Amazon listing, and most people are believing that. And anyway, they claim something like, here they say 40 watts and here they say 30 watts. But when you do the calculation, sometimes what they say, they say more than 2 amps here with 5 volts makes a little bit more than 10 watts for each slot. They have 5 of them, that's more than 50 watts, but actually the maximum is 40 watts. So what happens? These devices really have just two possibilities. When they are overloaded, they either can heat up and burn down and burn your house whatsoever, or they can throttle down, which is a really nice thing. Usually with higher price devices you can expect that they throttle down. Then the worst case, what you have in the morning, you wake up and you think your phone and power banks or whatsoever are fully charged, and they are still empty or close to empty. That's worst case. Then when you get a nicely protected device like this one, I have no clue about this one, so you would maybe end up in a fire, so you never know. So we really have to test them, but it's definitely not easy. What I'm going to show you is really that you cannot trust these statements. Here we have a statement of 30 watts. Sometimes it is supposed to be 30 watts output. Here we have 40 watts, and when we do the math, they say that they provide 8 amps in total. I don't know how that would work. 8 amps in total of 5 slots which we have, but 8 amps by 5 volts is 40 watts. So okay, then we have 40 watts output. There should be more than 40 watts input, of course, but here when we do the calculation here and it says 30 watts, that's not 30 watts output in none of these combinations which they claim here. So it's maybe 30 watts input. So you can already see that all these claims like 30 watts, 40 watts and so on, they are just like a little bit of, they just write something and you cannot really trust and do just some calculation and math and check the instruction manual of your phone or power bank and calculate something and then you think you can be sure. You cannot. So here I'm going to show you this one, how much power it can really consume. So I have hooked up this intelligent load tester to this base UA thing with 5 volts and it's supposed to deliver up to 4.5 amps. Okay, so I have set it to 2.1 amp to start and I started and you can see that we are using 12.6 watts here. If we check here on the consumer, what we get here is only 10 watts, but of course we can go higher because this this power supply is supposed to deliver around 30 watts based on their claims. So we go a little bit higher. We go to the amps. I mean, we should be able to go up to 4.5. So this is nothing. We are just at 3 amps. Of course, it's much more than most mobile phones can accept, but still for this device it's supposed to be not so much. Here we can see 18 watts, so no problem with that. We can go even higher. Let's go to 3.5 and what you can see, I hope you have been able to hear that the fan was reducing the speed and here we see lower consumption. So something is not right. We have never been at 30 watts, not anywhere close. We can reduce the amps and you can see it again goes a little bit higher. We are at 17.5, increasing again a little bit. 18 watts, 18.6, 19, 20, and that's the peak, and after that it really goes down. It has some overload detection which luckily triggered the reduction in power to keep it cool, so we can really feel that it didn't get hot. So before it got hot it reduced the power, which is really a good thing. So I can recommend that. I mean, I cannot recommend it because it doesn't deliver the power which they are claiming, but at least they do not overheat. So it's actually, I prefer something like this compared to something which delivers the power and after that overheats. So, but you really can see that it is not holding up to their promises. We can also check here the amps where it is at the most. So here we can see 19.5. We increase a little bit, 3.3 amps, and already with 3.4 amps it's reducing. So it's far away from their claims. So this was really just to show you that you cannot rely on these statements or listing statements or whatsoever. You have to be careful. You have to do your testing measurements or just be careful. So how to test that? If you have just one plug, more or less like here, when you can expect the full power here, you can buy something like that. It's $16. I will put down the link into the description, and you can hook this up and you can power it up to the limit. I mean 4.5 amps, that's nothing which you get with a power bank or with your smartphone here. That's usually a maximum of 2.1 amps, so you would need something like this to test that. If you have more than one plug, like here 5 plugs, it's a little bit a lot, it's of course too much. I mean, you can buy 5 of these things, it's 5 times $15. It's maybe a little bit too much for like an everyday normal user. If you are not an electrician and you want to do crazy testings, but I can highly recommend to buy at least something like that, which is also around $15, and you can test on every slot how much you have. I mean, you have a lot of devices, probably you have some power banks and you have your smartphones, and then I can recommend to test on every device you hook up. Here for example we have just 0.5 amps, and then you go to take the next device, maybe even hook it up on the next slot, and so on and so on. And yeah, just the things like the combination, what you want to use, maybe 2 smartphones, 2 power banks, and test everything with this device and accumulate and find out how much you have. Maybe you have then a total like maybe 5 times 1 amp, that's 5 amps, and you just connect them all together at the end and check, let them charge and check on the heat what happens. So check after 5 minutes, after 10 minutes if it's everything working properly. Check if your devices are charging properly, if it's not overheating, not doing crazy stuff. So there's no other way as far as I know to test that. Just hook everything up, put maybe something like this, a power meter, so at the end you will know how much is safe to use. And when you had this and you know maybe 10 amps are okay, and you hook up the other devices, and you always can do the math and count all the total of amps together, and then yeah, just do not more. If you want to use more like 20 amps, and next time then you have to check again and check the heat. Do not just plug it in before you go to sleep and then put hook up all your devices, go to sleep, and then you could have a really bad surprise. So I will put down at least the links of these 2 devices. They are not really expensive, but they could really help if you want to test something like that. And if you don't want to test, I really highly recommend to just check with the heat, hook everything up which you want to charge, and then try to find out if it's really built to power these things without overheat. This is really important. It can save your or your family's life. And that's it for now. I hope I was able to help you a little bit with that. If you have any questions or comments, just write to the comment section below, and I'm always happy to talk about these things. And if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.